everybody, it's Chrissy's Nerd Online. It's Wootini, here with another Gay Gamer video podcast. This week I actually have some new games to talk about, go figure. Yes, I'm still playing Animal Crossing, and yes, I'm still playing Ghost of Tsushima, but that's just, progressing along. But a friend of mine alerted me, Cam sent me a text and was like, hey, there's free games on the Nintendo Switch. This was last week. Unfortunately, the deal is no longer valid. It was just for that day. I mean, it was, I don't know how long it went for, but the day that he told me about it was the last day you could do it. But basically, this developer, Cubix, if you download their coloring book game, well, app is a more distinct, that's really what it is. It's not a game, it's a coloring book app with a couple of pictures that you can color using the touchscreen, or I guess the joysticks, and then they give you a couple, excuse me, they give you a couple of pictures, and you can buy more in the eShop, obviously. It's a free-to-play, free-to-download, pay-to-play kind of game. But if you downloaded Coloring Book, you could get 6 more games from Cubix for free. Now granted, these games only cost $1 or $2, so you're not saving a ton of money, but they're basically mobile games on the Switch. So you have Jumping Joe and Friends, who's it's one of those little quickie mobile platformers where you jump left or you jump right onto the different platforms until you accidentally jump on something bad and kill yourself, and then you get your high score. Robonauts is a slightly more elaborate platformer where you're jumping from planetoid to planetoid and running around the edge of the circle and shooting aliens, monsters, whatever. It's not entirely clear. But it has a very elaborate CGI intro, which I was like... But, that's a little more of a complex platformer. You've got a primary weapon and a secondary weapon and that sort of thing, in addition to jumping. So, that's a little better. Jumpin' Joe is, a mobile game that you're meant to play, on the train for, a minute or two. That's not going to sustain you for a while. Robonauts, I could see you could play for a more extended period of time. It would keep your interest for a bit. Then there's some puzzle game. There's Pocket Mini Golf, which is actually kind of disappointing because there's different holes, and there are different mini golf holes with different ways you gotta get around and through and get to the hole. The problem is it's not like regular golf where you shoot it and you bounce around and get close and then you can just put it in. You don't get a second shot. You get a shot. So it's just trial and error from the starting point to figure out the rebounds and the bouncing and how much force to give it and everything. And it's just trial and error of which angle and how much force, and then I found that kind of disappointing. I would have liked a more actual mini golf experience. Which, I mean, I know it's a mobile game, but you could have done that, but whatever. Mini Trains is slightly better. It's more of a puzzle game, and you actually have a chance to stop and think. You have to get a train from one station to another, and you have to get it to go around the table and collect the stars, and so you have to lay track to make a path, and then send it on its way while monitoring the switches to keep it going in the correct direction so that you can navigate it back into the station, or to the other station, whichever it may be, all the while collecting the stars and everything. So that's a little bit more of an interesting puzzle game where you actually have to think and plan and whatever. So that's a little more interesting to me than the just sort of instinctive, trial and error kind of thing with the mini golf. Speaking of puzzles, there's one called Puzzle Book, which is a series of jigsaw puzzles, which, okay, I'm a little slightly biased here because I actually really enjoy jigsaw puzzles, but obviously video game jigsaw puzzles are not going to be as good as an actual jigsaw puzzle with the physical pieces and you're building it as you go. Here, you know, you have your frame, and then it gives you the pieces along the side, and then you have to like take the pieces and put them in. But you can't scroll and see all the pieces. You get those 5 pieces, and that's what you're working with. But they all tend to go in that general area that you're working on. Like, they're not giving you pieces from the other side, really. So it's not really like difficult. But the first one that I did was, I was like, this is super lame, because it broke it into like 10 pieces, and it was like, done, you know. But then I broke it into, I think it was 30 pieces, maybe was the most you could do it as. I think it was 30 pieces, and then it was like, it wasn't really a challenge as much as it just took longer to do it, so it felt a little better when you finished. It felt like you'd done more. So it's not great, but for a mobile puzzle, jigsaw puzzle experience, I guess it's not terrible. Also, it was free, and again, you could get it for like $1, so, you know, for $1, I guess it's worth it. And then, last but not least, is Not Not, which is a puzzle game where it doesn't give you any instructions. So the first time I tried it, I was like, what am I even supposed to be doing right now? And basically what happens is, it gives you an instruction. You're a little guy on a cube, and it says left, so you run left. And then it says right, you run right. Up, down, left, right. And you do as it says, and then once you finish the course, you finish that level, and you move on to the next one. And there's like a bunch of levels to complete. The thing is then it gets tricky, because it's like left, right, up, not up, which could be left, right, or down. Then it says like not down, which is down. And that's where your brain starts to hurt, and then you make a mistake, and then you blow up, and then you have to try the level over again. So that was kind of fun. And again, for $1, it's something you'd play on your phone. And I don't really know that they're necessarily great to have on the Switch, because if you were on the train or traveling, not like anyone's doing that right now, but if you were, I feel like it would just be easier to pull out your phone and play Not Not on your phone than it would be to pull out it on your Switch and do that. Like, it's like, but whatever. I played a bunch of new games for 5 seconds apiece, because they're just mobile games. We'll see if I go back to any of them at any point. It's unlikely, but I might do some jigsaw puzzles or something. But this week, what I really want to talk about, you know how everything is miserable and horrible, and we're all dying, and it's a disaster, and the whole country is a dumpster fire. So I was like, I need to cheer myself up. I'm going to treat myself. The problem with treating yourself by buying something online is that that orange shit stain has fucked up the post office, so things aren't getting delivered, and it's taking forever to get things. So it's like you try to cheer yourself up by buying something nice, but then you don't get it for 2 weeks, and then you're like, ugh, and it just makes it worse. But I did happen to treat myself to something that came FedEx, so it took a couple of days for them to process the order and ship it, but once they shipped it, it came in like 2 days, and it was great. And it showed up yesterday, because it just came back in stock at LEGO.com, and it is the LEGO NES system, which I just think is like the coolest thing. My husband is super into Legos, so he has a bunch, mostly minifigures, but he has a bunch of like sets. Like, he has a big haunted house, and he bought like the Flintstones house and everything, and it's very cool. So I've seen him putting together these elaborate Lego sets. This one is 18 plus. There's 2,646 pieces, which is a lot. So it's going to take me a while. I only started yesterday, obviously. This is the first one. This is the first Lego set. I've seen some Lego sets that look cool, but I've never actually been willing to spend the money on them, because the cool sets all cost like a lot of money. This was like $250 with tax. There was free shipping, thank goodness. But like $250 is like, ah. But also this is kind of cool, and it does things, you know. But I only just started yesterday, so I've only done like the first 2 bags of Lego pieces. And so I have this to show for it so far. It's the base of the console, and this is the little spring-loaded thing where you can put the cartridge in, you know, and close it, you know. So I made the little spring-loaded thing. It's funny because I feel like, even though it says 18 plus on the box, I feel like if you were like a teenager, you could still put it together. And if you were like younger, like putting this together and putting together the springs and all the levers and the slidey things and everything to make it do this, like, that would be cool, because it's like engineering, and you might think, oh, let me see how this works, and you'd understand, and you'd look at it and you'd be like, oh, I understand how this works because I'm building it from the inside out. Me, I'm just putting it together, and as long as it works, I don't care how. I'm not looking at the physics, I'm not looking at the engineering. So I'm too old for that sort of thing. I don't care. But it's very cool because, you know, the cartridge actually goes in the system, and it has an actual sized controller. And the TV, you rotate the crank, and this little thing, the background rolls around, and Mario jumps up and down, and it's super cool. So it actually does something. It doesn't just sit there and looks pretty. You can kind of play with it. So, big box. So I will be building this for a while, probably. And so come back next episode and see how much progress I've made. That'll be something to look forward to. So remember this, and then we'll see what it looks like next episode.